Since the Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan last August, the humanitarian situation in the war-ravaged country has deteriorated sharply, and the economy is in freefall. The country is facing shortages in nearly everything, from kitchen staples to hard cash. There is food, but many cannot afford to feed their families. There are jobs, but the employees haven't been paid for months. There are hospitals, but they are without enough equipment and medicines for even the most critical of cases. A large majority of the country is living in abject poverty. As per the World Food Programme, over 1 million children under 5 years of age will face severe malnutrition this year. 92% of the country's population is in debt, and 83% said they were forced to borrow money for food. The UN has called the situation inconceivable, but hasn't been able to pull Afghanistan out of the crisis. The global body has raised billions in aid for the country, but it is proving enough only for emergency measures amidst a nearly non-functional economy. So far, Afghanistan has been entirely dependent on humanitarian assistance to stave off crisis after crisis.
This time I think they're somewhat better. But then the task itself is so huge, where your entire infrastructure is destroyed, where your economic base is close to zero. What exactly are you going to start on? What are you going to stabilize on?
A number of factors are responsible for Taliban-led Afghanistan failing to emerge as a stable economy, despite being governed by the indigenous Afghans. Afghanistan is also facing a severe skilled labor shortage, with most workers with domain-specific knowledge fleeing the war-torn country for better opportunities. The international community's assistance has been merely symbolic. The US and the West have expressed their reluctance in assisting the country, as the Taliban leadership has not lived up to its promises of moderate rule. Minorities are being targeted continuously. Girls are banned from high schools, and women are forced to wear the body veil burqa. The situation has prompted severe trust issues, and experts opine that the West is also wary that any financial assistance given to the country could be misappropriated and used to fund terrorism in the region.
The 7 billion that got unfrozen, it's going to be performance-based. It's almost going to be like the Iraq Oil for Food program, where you behave yourself and we'll give you some money towards certain things. The ultimate veto then lies with America. And remember, this isn't really Afghan money. This is Western aid money being given to the Afghans. So they kind of have a right to do what they're doing.
In February this year, US President Joe Biden unfroze the $7 billion USD Afghan reserves, but with strings attached. $3.5 billion USD was announced for the welfare of the Afghan people, which would be dispersed without any Taliban assistance. The balance, $3.5 billion USD, would be distributed to the families of the victims of the 9/11 terror attacks. In reality, however, this money continues to remain frozen due to technical and legal obstacles, further shattering any hopes that the Afghans may have had for a lifeline. Humanitarian support from India in the form of thousands of tons of wheat consignments, as well as medical essentials and vaccines, have helped the crisis-stricken country, but this is not a permanent solution. The pressing priority is a complete overhaul of the country's economic policies, with active support from global financial institutions. The need for a concrete plan to draw the country out of devastation has grown even more in the wake of the devastating earthquake that killed nearly 1,000 people recently. If the Taliban wish to lift the country and its citizens out of crisis, they will need to reform their policies and modes of operation. Pakistan, which claims to be a parliamentary republic, is seeing a spike on attacks on the media, which has highlighted the looming threat to fundamental freedoms in the country. According to the World Press Freedom Index 2022 report, Pakistan has slipped by 12 points in the index, from a rank of 145th in 2021 to 157th in 2022. The main purpose of media is to give a voice to the voiceless. Instead, communication outlets in the Islamic Republic have forcibly been transformed into the state apparatus that is being used to reshape the ideologies of the masses.
If we see Freedom of Press Index, which was published from very recognized organization, Reporters Without Borders, Pakistan's level is very low.
The oppressive approach against media in Pakistan, which started under the dictatorship of Army General Zia-ul-Haq during the 1980s, continues today. Journalists critical of the military are often attacked, threatened, or arrested, and there is a long list of cases of intimidation of news reporters by Army-related agencies. According to Freedom Network, an award-winning Pakistan-based media rights watchdog, at least 86 cases of attacks and violations against press and journalists took place between May of 2021 and April of 2022. Unfortunately, successive Pakistani governments, which are civilian facades used to conceal the iron fist of the army, are involved in crushing dissent and criminalizing dissimilar opinions. Even opposition parties who demand press freedom are the first to restrict it when in power. Just last year, noted Pakistani journalist Hamid Mir was taken off air for remarks he made against the military. He was later forced to apologize. Hamid, while protesting against an attack on another independent journalist, had threatened to expose the army's involvement in such attacks. Many media professionals who have been forced by the Pakistani army and intelligence agencies to leave the country are living under threats even on foreign soil. Several Pakistani journalists, like Taha Siddiqui, are living in exile, but still don't feel safe, and they have a reason to worry.
Journalists in Pakistan are constantly living under threat. They're living under the threat of being kidnapped. They're living under the threat of being, attacked, losing their jobs, financial sort of blackmailing that happens because they lose their job.
Apart from the military, there are many other authorities and areas in the South Asian country which are out of the ambit of scrutiny. For instance, Pakistani media in conflict zones is non-existent. Hotspots like Balochistan, Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa have become no-go areas for journalists, with information from these regions reduced to a trickle. Pakistan was never an easy place for journalists to work, but now the very existence of the media is under threat.